Austringer has hands down been consistently one of the best feeling weapons you can get your hands on for the Crucible here inside of Destiny 2. And the best part is that it's fully craftable, enabling you to pick and choose your particular Godroll. This fantastic hand cannon was introduced 2 years ago in Season 17, and it remains to be one of the better 140s introduced in the entire game. Austringer requires the Witch Queen expansion and can be farmed for from the Presence Exotic mission whenever it's available. Once you have Austringer crafted, you're going to want to quickly get the weapon to level 13 so you can have access to all perks and attachments. Most importantly, small bore, ricochet rounds, a range masterwork, and Eye of the Storm found in the third column. As your health gets lower in a gunfight, your accuracy cone size decreases, helping you land those final necessary shots to score a kill. This is really the only third column perk that's viable for PvP, which is where this weapon was intended to be used in the first place. Seriously, don't waste your time entertaining perks such as Compulsive Reloader or Snapshot Sights. Bungie had to add some sort of downside to this weapon. The ideal perks you want to pair Eye of the Storm with are Zen Moment or Opening Shot. These perks shouldn't need an introduction, but as a quick reminder, Zen Moment will reduce Austringer's recoil and how much flinch you receive when taking damage every time you deal damage towards an enemy. And Opening Shot will give Austringer an extra 20 points in aim assist and an extra 25 points in range, along with decreasing the accuracy cone size for your first shot of an engagement. You don't need to have a full magazine for Opening Shot to proc because the only requirement is that you don't shoot for 3 seconds. With that out of the way, let's talk about which input device Austringer performs the best on, controller or mouse and keyboard, and which perks you'll want for each input. When it comes to hand cannons, controllers just get outclassed by mouse and keyboard. Aiming a hand cannon on controller, at least for me, feels a bit clunky, and on controller there's more visual recoil when shooting, making landing follow-up shots just a tad bit more difficult compared to mouse and keyboard. The lack of any significant recoil when playing on mouse and keyboard means I can play a bit more aggressive and have the confidence that most of my shots will land. Unlike controller, aiming on mouse and keyboard is snappy and smooth, so going from target to target landing precision hits is seamless and rather easy to accomplish, even for a mediocre player such as myself. With that said, Austringer's the kind of weapon I believe you should have 2 rolls of regardless of your input device. Just switch roles depending on how you're performing or feeling in the moment. At first, I really didn't like Zen Moment on controller. I felt like Austringer just wasn't sticky enough to stay on target during a gunfight, but that quickly changed once I started to get used to aiming with the controller. Zen Moment completely negates any recoil issues I have with the weapon, but if you're running Zen Moment, then you can't take advantage of Opening Shot's increased range and aim assist on your first shot, which almost felt necessary to have at times. If I'm playing on mouse and keyboard, then I tend to lean a bit more towards Zen Moment because there's practically no recoil whatsoever and it just feels so good to use and land headshots with. But if for whatever reason I'm not playing the best, then I'll switch to Opening Shot. Usually the person that lands the first shot wins the gunfight, and Opening Shot damn near guarantees a precision hit when active, so I find value in both roles. Rose and Midnight Coup are competitors to Austringer. These weapons have similar perks, yet all feel completely different from one another. Out of the 3 weapons, Rose is going to be the best since its stats are just better, but that's to be expected from a competitive Crucible reward with random rolls, whereas Austringer is a craftable weapon where you can choose the exact roll you want. I'm going to rate Austringer a solid 8 out of 10 for mouse and keyboard. It's definitely a good and consistent weapon that I really enjoy using, but there are some hand cannons which are slightly better. But on controller, I'm going to give Austringer a bit lower of a score, going down to 7.7 due to how hand cannons feel on controller, and that's entirely personal. If your only input is controller, then you might not feel this way. Overall, Austringer is a competitive weapon for the Crucible that you can use either as your main weapon of choice or as a solid option until you get something that's just a bit better, such as Rose. And that's your Austringer weapon review and Godroll guide. Let me know what your experience with Austringer is down in the comments, subscribe for more, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.